So misdemeanor means an offense other than a traffic infraction. Okay, there is no such thing as a traffic misdemeanor. It does not exist. For which a sentence to a term of jail in excess of 15 days may be imposed, but you can't get more than a year. So you can get more than 15 days, but you can't get more than a year. That, by definition, is a misdemeanor. A misdemeanor is a crime, okay? Now, the other thing that you got to know about misdemeanors is that there's 3 kinds of them: Class A, Class B, and unclassified. So any offense defined outside this chapter, which is declared by law to be a misdemeanor, without specification of the classification or the sentence imposed, shall be deemed a Class A misdemeanor. So let me give you an example of that. In the election law, something is declared to be a misdemeanor. Any person who is guilty of this shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. It doesn't say Class A or Class B, and it has nothing about the sentence. That's deemed to be a Class A misdemeanor, okay? So if it doesn't say anything about the sentence and it doesn't say what classification is, it's deemed an A misdemeanor. Now, the next one, this is most particular to the VTL. That's why DWI is considered an unclassified misdemeanor. Because a misdemeanor where an offense, whether or not it's even called a misdemeanor, but they have a sentence there that says you could get more than 15 days, but not more than a year, that's deemed an unclassified misdemeanor. So how can you have an unclassified misdemeanor? The only way you can have it is if some law out there says that this is a offense and you can get 6 months in jail for it, or some term of imprisonment under a year but more than 15 days, that's deemed an unclassified misdemeanor. If the law specifically says this is a Class B or Class A misdemeanor, it's easy. You just know what class it is. But if there's these other 2 situations where there's no specified sentence and no specified classification, that's a Class A. And if there's no specified classification, but there is a specified sentence, that's unclassified. So just to briefly review, 3 kinds of misdemeanors: A, B, unclassified. A misdemeanor up to 1 year, B misdemeanor not more than 3 months, but you can get more than 15 days. You can also get no jail at all for any misdemeanor. They are crimes. Any A misdemeanor, B misdemeanor, or unclassified misdemeanor is a crime. If there's no sentence and no classification specified, that's an A misdemeanor. If it's got a sentence specified but doesn't specify the classification, that's deemed an unclassified misdemeanor. So basically, think of it like some obscure law, like election law or something like that, saying this is a misdemeanor. That's going to be deemed an A misdemeanor because it doesn't say what classification it is, and it doesn't say a word about the sentence. If it says anything about the sentence, that makes it an unclassified misdemeanor. Okay, so it doesn't even have to say in the law specifically, this is a misdemeanor. It just has to say it's an offense and that it's punishable by whatever the sentence is. That, you know, is a misdemeanor if the sentence is more than 15 days, but less than a year. Generally, that's stuff in the VTL. If something in the VTL is specifically defined as a traffic infraction, which we're gonna go over shortly, that means it cannot be a misdemeanor. So if they like to get tricky in the question and say things like traffic misdemeanor or traffic infraction with a sentence up to 30 days in jail and hope to trip you up by making you think, oh, that it can't be a traffic infraction because I think of traffic infractions as like minor things. No, you can have a traffic infraction with a sentence of 30 days in jail. So we'll get to that shortly.